we got a great topic for the Busted Open Nation, and that is the death of live events. And it seems as the further and further we get away from when, live events and house show really thrived, I think we're getting to a point where they're barely surviving. And AEW doesn't have live events, and we're seeing very limited live events from the WWE. In the month of September, guys, 2 live events for the WWE, which is very unlike that company. So, Tommy, I'll start with you. I mean, I always hear from you guys how important the live events are. It's where you can try new angles, see if it works with an audience, wrestling in front of an audience, doing wrestling-centric shows. But it seems like it's either televised or it ain't happening, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, through the annals of time, how wrestling companies did their business was through live events, and TV was just used as a promotional tool for what? Their live events. Obviously, this business model has changed. And also, like we've said before, this is a whole new company. I don't follow UFC, but I don't think UFC does live events. UFC does their television show and they do their pay-per-views, and like that's it. Um, for me, and not just because I'm old school, I always feel that's the best way to gauge the crowd. Also, if you think about when the WWE was at its hottest, what did Vince McMahon do? He went into the territories, he took all the big stars, and you heard it. Oh, we did 28 days straight on the road. We did this, we did that. Why? Because they're taking all the money. That's what they want to do. Yeah, at the end of the day, we always say this is a business. For the wrestlers, number one, you do these live events and you're on all those live events, you're getting paid extra money, how the contracts used to be structured. Also, you get to work different opponents or fine tune a match, getting ready for whatever big match. Or also, if you're having, I don't want to say a first time ever, but I mean, me and Mark, first time we wrestle, is on a live event and we get to feel each other out. And I mean, I've paid Mark the ultimate compliment. If I could have every single match to the end of my career at Mark Henry, I'd be happy because of live event feel. The way Mark would get heat on me, the way Mark would sell for me, and the way sometimes like Mark would be like, stay, and then I'd see him jaw jacking with a fan. And those fans in that live event experience, they're not going to have a friggin' monster go to the floor and tell him to shut the hell up, or man, you think you're so tough? I'll kick your ass. And then Mark backs up and I'm just laying where I just was. And then he goes and he punches me. And then when he gets into the ring, he's like, when he ducks his shoulder and I kick him because he took the eye off the prize. And that started a lot of our comebacks because he's jaw jacking with that fan. And then that fan, and I would look at that fan and be like, thanks, like, because he gave me an opening. All these different things like live events, or Dave, I've wrestled in 111 countries. Most of them were live events, or I've wrestled in every state, every province in Canada. Most of those are live events. And then my resume would have gone down because I don't know how many live events or television shows they're going to bring to Mississippi, Montana, Wyoming. So you're missing out and you're alienating a big piece of your audience. Me hearing this news that they're cutting it down also too from the wrestler, my pay. I don't know the pay structure of WWE. I understand they're making more money. That's if you're on top. If you're not on top, then what? If you're also like that dude, that Christmas loop that we'd all would talk about, you'd open up that envelope and be like, holy crap, I got paid how much to wrestle for 5 straight days? That some people don't make in a year. And these are all things about live events. I look at it from a business model. Obviously, you had somebody say, I don't know if this is a right decision or we need to cut down for what reason. This is not like a whim, you know. It's a definitive reason. I don't know why. If I'm another company, I start live events. Or if I'm WWE, they have so many drawing stars. Maybe you take those people and where they say they're not giving it an opportunity, or man, let's see the drawing power. And I take them and a short show. What did they used to have in the 80s? Everyone wanted to be in the Hulk shows, but the undercard, because they were sometimes running 3 shows, were all sold out. Rock and Roll Express versus Midnight Express is the B show and selling out more than Dusty and Flair, because it also then creates a rivalry amongst business. Mark was also on this show where at times live events weren't profitable when it was why they're running against their own competition, which I never got. And they would cancel a Monday show if you're on the SmackDown brand. And that was horrible, but I can't speak of that. When we went to SmackDown ECW live, that was for a reason to also help draw crowds on those Monday shows, because we're within 100 miles of this franchise known as WWE and running those shows.
And I remember, Tommy, because I went to a few of them at the Meadowlands where they would do the super shows of when SmackDown was being taped, they would have Raw live and then immediately do a taped episode of SmackDown to try to make sure, that they would get a sold out house or a big house at a 12 to 15,000 seat arena. I have a lot of questions for you guys, because Mark, Tommy just said it. There were times that you were part with the WWE when live event business was really thriving, but then when live event houses were down right before the pandemic, I remember that was like record low for the WWE, that live attendance was down.
It was a flawed system anyway. From the time that I got into pro wrestling, there were tours like the ones that had Stone Cold and Undertaker. When The Rock and Austin were running each other, there was several tours that were just explosive. Any series of the Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, like if you were on those cards, man, you could do a house show loop. Like, we'd go to work on Friday, do Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday, and then Monday, Sunday night, we'd drive after the show to the next town to be there for Monday Night Raw. And Dave, it was cool when football season was not in. And I always used to say, for 13 weeks, we should take off. Like, you let the well fill up, let everybody's bodies heal up. And because 13 weeks, I remember, I'll never forget, we're in Boise, Idaho. I can't get a rental car. I'm like, what the hell is going on? They say, oh, Boise's playing tonight. And it's a college town. That's the only thing there. No industry, just football, just the college. We have to double up and triple up in cars because there just wasn't enough cars. And you go to the hotel, no room. We had to drive 30 miles outside of Boise to get a damn hotel, and then drive back into Boise to the basketball stadium on the campus to do a show. And the fans are leaving the football game as we get there at 3. It was a morning game. We get there at 4:00, and the parking lot is clearing. And I'm like, whoa, y'all stay for the show at 7. But no, Dave, we had like 2,500 people maybe. The place held 10. It looked empty as hell. And it's hard to go out there in front of a smaller amount of people when you're entitled and spoiled like we were. We were used to being in front of 10,000. Now, I come from the school of Rip Rogers and Jim Cornette. If it's 20 people out there, you go balls to the wall. You give them what they came for. So I never took a night off. Anybody ever said that I took a night off, they They full of shit. You pointed out to me. You show me the tape when I packed it in and I was out there going through the motions. Never happened. Never happened. But there were times where they should have just said, hey man, we sold 2,000 seats in this arena that's going to hold 12, 14,000. You know what? We're going to call it and send everybody home. This like we're going to kill the tour. Now, there's some tours that should exist. Still to this day, the Cohasset summer tours with the tent towns.
Oh yeah.
You got to do that. That's a life experience. That's not for you. That's for those kids. I would go to those shows and kids used to cry when we left. It was, man, you go to where Tommy lives.
County Center.
Yeah, like where
Westchester
on
County
the Skolin-
Center.
Westchester.
Yeah. Westchester County Center.
Westchester was always kids. It was always full of, the whole front 3 or 4 rows would be a bunch of kids. And I love going there because I wasn't entertaining the back row no more. I was entertaining them kids. And those shows you have to do. You have to do them. There's about 50 arenas in the States that you could do house shows. 50 house shows, kill all the rest of them. Let everybody's bodies heal up. I believe in what they're doing now. Like I know I might come across as kind of anti of the special events, live events, and that's what I'm for. Special live events, and then kill all the rest of them so bodies can heal up. Because now we didn't have 3 shows back then. We had Raw and SmackDown, and we would do like Heat, Velocity, those shows, the underlying shows, the same day as the show. They just would show it with different backgrounds and everything. It would be like being at a all day at a TV taping. So I don't. Go ahead, Tommy.
But to piggyback off of what Mark says, there's a couple of points, and I know you know this. Wildwood, Seaside, those shows during the summer at night are family oriented and they're fun, and you pull into town and there's the boardwalk and you go, and then you see some wrestling at night. These are all or Ocean City, Maryland, or the more coastal towns that you take. Also to
Atlantic
Mark's
City.
point. Yep. To Mark's point, also then when again the business changed, we started doing Friday, Saturday, Sunday, taping Raw on Monday, taping SmackDown on Tuesday. You come home Wednesday, you're a zombie. You can barely function on those Wednesdays. And then Thursday, it's I have to do my laundry, I have to pack because I'm going back out on the road. And again, but it was the more house shows you work, the more money you made. So you're driven by that. There's also some towns like I never understood why we did cold towns in the winter or where there's risk of people not coming to the event. The other part where Mark said, once you hit the South and into that loop of Texas, like that whole South from Texas to about the Carolinas, Friday night football in high school is next level. Then Saturday is college, and then Sunday is NFL. And to Mark's point, ECW, man, when we started working, when we'd be like, wait, we have 3 shows? And then we started doing 4 shows. Why? Because the wrestlers were making more money when we were getting paid, but we also saw the expansion of the company. But then when Mark said we ran Ann Arbor when it was Michigan versus Michigan State in Lansing, and we had no people there. And then it's defeating for the talent, because you're like, what did we do wrong? And there's like, no, that was promotion. Or I'll never forget, we Thursday night in Richmond, and we're like Mark said, thousands of people, thousands. I'm like, man, we are going to have such a packed house. And we always had this packed house. And it was Michael Vick's last game at Virginia Tech. So is that Richmond?
Yeah.
We ran against Michael Vick's and we passed the stadium, and then the traffic just opened up, and like we're like, oh wait, that's not for us. And I was like, how could you ever run
Yeah.
a show? Like, how do you
Tommy,
not check that on because then college football went to Thursday nights.
let's see if you remember this one. The longest travel day in the history of damn travel days. We would do Seattle, Sacramento, Seattle, all that, and go all the way up to Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
And we would go across. Before we started that tour, we would fly into SeaTac, and then we would take the ferry
Yeah, to that
across
island,
the Vancouver River, or whatever the hell that.
Victoria's Island. Yeah.
Right, Victoria Island. And then we would go to Kamloops, British Columbia. And you have to drive, Dave. It's 2-lane highway on the inside of a mountain. Hour and 45 minutes. It's only 30 miles. That's how slow you have to drive to do this to keep from killing yourself or somebody else.
Or was it Seattle to Yakima? And
Yakima.
Because of fog, we couldn't get there. But what I'm
You
saying
just can't
is
drive fast.
these are just live events that you have to get
Cancel
to.
them. Cancel them. Because when we got there, Dave, they had a festival. They had the biggest summer festival you ever saw. And I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna be live tonight. Hey, yeah, they got a concert series. Dwight Yoakam is playing, and then they got fireworks at the end of the night. I was like, oh shit. Like, why did we go? Because the promoters, they looked at a date and said, oh, that's an open date at the arena. We'll take it. Rather than
that was their
say,
job.
well, what else is going on in town? Are we competing with anything? So that's why I feel like now it's going away. They've smartened up. It's actually a good thing for the talent.
But I actually think it may be going away as well, especially for the WWE, because now WWE is so global. Perfect example, they have 2 live events in September. October, November, they have live events, but they're live events outside of the U.S. So I think the days of like, here, I live in New Jersey, they would hit back in the day the Meadowlands, Nassau Coliseum, Madison Square Garden. They would hit those arenas. They would go, 3-4 times a year. I think
we went
that
to Trenton at least 2 or 3 times a year.
Yeah, I think those days are done. I think now that they've put, they've kind of stepped back from having those live events, but also because it's such a global product. I mean, I think there's certain markets you're lucky if they get to you once a year now. Forget about multiple times a year. I think I would hate to see it for what Mark you said and for what you said, Tommy. Westchester County Center in White Plains, New York. I went there at the beginning of the summer. It's 5,000. Man, had to be 3,500 kids where, the parents can't afford to get, if they have multiple kids, to go buy a ticket to Madison Square Garden or go to a major arena. But it's perfect for an arena like that. And it's not televised. They're close to the ring. So every seat's a good seat where they're going to be up close to their favorite wrestler. And then the wrestlers stay after and sign autographs and take pictures. When you're doing a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown or a pay-per-view, you're not going to get that same kind of access. I feel like that those ma and pa stadiums and arenas, that's going to be, unfortunately, a thing of the past. That's what I worry. That's what I worry about if the live event is gone.
I would say for now.
That rest his soul. Vader was a heel at the time, and it was him and Shamrock, and it was I don't remember who the person was, but it was specialty people. It was a bigwig, like somebody on the stock exchange or You know, it was some famous family. The damn Kennedy showed up. Hell, I don't. It was a big deal, and we got a memo from the agents. Hey, these people are in town, and I want everybody when you finish your match to go in this room and sign these banners, like the show banners, and take photos with these people. And Vader didn't want to do it. And man, Timmy White and Arnold Skolin were the agents, and they was telling everybody, hey, can you make sure you go by and just take a picture and say hi? Yeah, Timmy, I got it. And I'm in the hallway, and Vader goes, well, that's damn defeating. I just went out there and almost exorcised demons from his body, and now you want me to go and kiss and hug people? And he said, well, Timmy said, hey, listen, Leon, you do whatever you want to do. I'm under direct order from the boss, and we all know who the boss is, to get that done. And about 5 minutes later, Timmy comes in and goes, hey, Leon, telephone. And and it was Vince on the phone, and you can see, like, I got to do a reenactment. It was like, hello? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm going right now. Yeah. I'm a fat bastard. Okay. All right. Bro, I've never in my life seen somebody get humbled so fast. And a lot of that was there were guys that were getting, as soon as they finished their match, they get in the car and they drive. You know, and it came a time when on those live events, those were the only time that some of those people could get time to go do that. You know, Monday through Friday, you know, you're running a Fortune 500 company. And, you know, I remember the Donald Trumps coming, the Hobbs family in Dallas, you know, like there weren't many families more powerful. The Rockefellers, the Spiegels, you know, people like, they would come to shows and you had to placate to them. And it was normally the house shows. They didn't come to TV. And the office wanted you to be nice and play nice. And Dave, there's a time when you just got to say, you know what? I see the value of the house show. But also, there were more negatives than positives.
I understand.
And the one thing that we have not said in all of this is the experience of the house show. Not in the ring, not for the fans, but the wrestlers. Get in the car, shut your mouth, listen to the veteran, and just drive to the next town and get critiqued and learn something of what to work on tomorrow. And that's the thing that's going to be missing. Is the development of the young wrestler going to be stifled because of it? And I would say no. And the reason that I would say no is because of the Performance Center. You got NXT, and not only do you have NXT, they have training. And Dave, you can have 3 matches in one day at the Performance Center.
What about and I understand that with the Performance Center. That's what, you know, Triple H, I remember, you know, in an interview, he said that there was like a board meeting with the WWE and they were talking about merchandising and all this type of stuff. And then he was kind of like, but what about a center that would get our talent better? And they kind of looked at him like he had a third head, because the last thing they were thinking about is, oh yeah, the talent in the ring has to be good, or none of those other things actually happen. So So Mark, because you were there, what about like a company like AEW? A lot of that talent is young, and if they're not booked on TV, it's going to be difficult for them to get that kind of experience.
Simple fix. Everybody that's not booked on the show, that's not a veteran, that's involved in an angle, and some of them that are, give them the option. If they don't show, then you know how serious they are. Hey, on Friday, we don't, AEW is on Wednesday. Thursday is an off day. And then they do Friday, and then they do Saturday. Go ahead and do Wednesday. Fly them in on Tuesday night, do the show Wednesday, and then you do training on Thursday and Friday if you're not booked on the Friday show. And then you get to do the show on television on Collision. If you're not working, then you got to work out that day. Then you go home on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then you come back and you have to create a performance center environment. But you could talk to you blue in the face, and if nobody listens, then that's just you, the crazy man, yelling at the pigeons.
Dave, just real quick too. If you think about the performance center, what are they training you for? To perform on television. So that's what they're training people for. I do feel it will eventually change, but as of right now, that'll be the sticking point. Because here's the other part: billions. I'm not talking millions. Mm-hmm. Billions you're getting paid from Saudi, Netflix, and one other billions. So we don't need millions because we're getting billions to do this level of, like when Mark said, like, we're just filming content. We're already making billions. Yes, it's nice to have, but if that number goes down for some reason, you have shareholders, all that stuff. So we're training for television because that's the model. I always say wrestling is what the boss says it is. These new bosses, if they just view as their UFC model, this is what we're going to, and it's it.
Yeah, no, it seems like it's going, and I would hate for it to pro wrestling to just strictly be a television product, because I think that takes away the family element of what pro wrestling is all about. Go ahead, Mark.
Dave, the last thing is what our compadre that's not here today, Bully Ray, would always say. It goes back to the money. You get the arena is going to cost you $70,000. Then you're going to have to pay the talent that's going to be on that card their percentage. And then you're going to have to pay the flights and hotels. Well, the WWE didn't pay hotels, but the flights, you're going to have to, and then the talent's going to have to pay for rental cars. They have a lighting staff, sound staff, grips, the building employees. So now you're $150,000 in for each house show. You better hope that you make $200,000 just so you can clear $50,000. But you want to fill a building up so you can make $300,000 or $400,000.
Yeah, no, it
but
makes
the
sense.
Expenditures have become too high.